Dr. Anna Kingsford, an outstanding English theosophist of the 1880s, was said to be clairvoyant from the time she could speak. She herself felt that she came from the fairy realm and was given permission to be born as a human being so as to carry out her destiny. At the tender age of 13, Anna wrote the book Beatrice, a tale of the early Christians. Her early wisdom can be seen in the following excerpt. How foolish are they who seek to promote their own comfort by making it their sole study. They lose the very object of their desires and invariably render themselves restless and unhappy. While maintaining her spiritual and vegetarian interests, Anna Kingsford became a doctor. Not only was she one of the first female medical doctors in England, she graduated from medical school without experimenting on any animals. The subject of her medical degree thesis was vegetarianism and ethics. This led Dr. Kingsford to the writing and publishing of a well-received book, The Perfect Way in Diet. Dr. Kingsford continued with her inner spiritual and mystical experiences, which she documented in several books in collaboration with longtime friend Edward Maitland. She also became known as an outspoken animal and women's rights activist. We now share with you selections from the book The Perfect Way, or The Finding of Christ. This book merges Christianity and the theosophical tradition, a system of fundamental truths and wisdom in which all religions may abide so that humans can progress along the path to perfection. According to Dr. Anna Kingsford, this perfection is exemplified by Christ, which everyone is capable of discovering and joining within. The second lecture, The Soul and the Substance of Existence, Part 2 and 3. The outer envelope of the macrocosm and the microcosm alike, the earth or body, is thus in reality not elemental at all, but is a compound of the other three elements. Its fertility is due to the water, and its transmutatory or chemical power to the fire. The water corresponds to the soul, the best principle of P.3, while fire is to the body what spirit is to the soul. As the soul is without divinity and life until vivified by the spirit, so the body, earth or matter, is without physical life in the absence of fire. No matter is really dead matter, for the fire element is in all matter, but matter would be dead, would cease, that is, to exist as matter, if motion was suspended, which is, if there were no fire. For, as wherever there is motion, there is heat, and consequently fire and motion is the condition of matter, so without fire would be no matter. In other words, matter is a mode of life. The history and progress of the soul. Souls work upwards from plants and animals to man. In man, they attain their perfection and the power to dispense altogether with material bodies. Their ability to do this is the cause and consequence of their perfection, and it is the attainment of this that is the object of the culture of the soul, the object, that is, of religion. Spirit alone is good, is God. Matter is that whereby spirit is limited, and is, therein, the cause of evil, for evil is the limitation of good. Wherefore to escape from matter and its limitations, and return to the condition of spirit, is to be superior to the liability to evil. Formerly, the way of escape for human souls was more open than now, and the path clearer, because, although ignorance of intellectual things abounded, especially among the poorer folk, yet the knowledge of divine things and the light of faith was stronger and purer. The anima bruta, or earthly mind, was less strongly defined and fixed, so that the anima divina, or heavenly mind, subsisted in more open conditions. Wherefore the souls of those ages of the world, not being enchained to earth as they now are, were enabled to pass more quickly through their avatars, and but few incarnations sufficed where now many are necessary. For in these days the mind's ignorance is weighted by materialism instead of being lighted by faith, and the soul is sunk to earth by love of the body, by atheism, and by excessive care for the things of sense. And being crushed thereby, it lingers long in the atmosphere of earth, seeking many fresh lodgments, and so multiple bodies, the circumstances of each of which are influenced by the use made of the previous one. For every man makes his own fate, and nothing is truer than that character is destiny. It is by their own hands that the lines of some are cast in pleasant places, of some in vicious, and of some in virtuous ones, so that there is nothing arbitrary or unjust. But in what manner soever a soul conducts itself in one incarnation, by that conduct, by that order of thought and habit, it builds for itself its destiny in a future incarnation. For the soul is enchained by these prenatal influences, which irresistibly force it into a new nativity at the time of such conjunction of planets and signs as oblige it into certain courses and incline it strongly thereto. But if the soul oppose itself to these influences and adopt some other course, as it well may, to its own real advantage, it brings itself under a curse for such period as the planets and ruling signs of that incarnation have power. But though this means misfortune in a worldly sense, it is true fortune for the soul in a spiritual sense. For the soul is therein striving to atone and make restitution for the evil done in its own past, and thus striving, it advances towards higher and happier conditions. Wherefore man is, strictly, his own creator, in that he makes himself and his conditions according to the tendencies he encourages. The process of such reformation, however, may be a long one, for tendencies encouraged for ages cannot be cured in a single lifetime, but may require ages for their cure. And herein is a reflection to make us as patient towards the faults of others as we ought to be impatient of our own faults. Generous viewers, it's been a pleasure to have your company for today's Words of Wisdom.